the Court of Justice has ruled that persistence pays off after a persistent widow's desperate appeal was finally heard and granted by the infamous Judge Eli. Judge Eli has gained a reputation among legal circles as being by far the most unjust of all judges. The decision marks the end of a tense 3-year struggle by the widow to persuade Judge Eli, who until now has refused to accept her plea for justice. The case could have implications for many others throughout the world and for future generations, as an example of how one person overcame obstacles and achieved success. Here's our current affairs correspondent, Lucia Evangelia.
Standing on the steps of this courthouse today stood a woman, a widow, Mrs. Tabitha Aaron of a certain town. Mrs. Tabitha's husband sadly died 3 years ago due to an unfortunate fishing incident on the River Jordan. Her husband's death left her penniless and unable to pay her rent. This has been one out of a great many number of visits that Mrs. Tabitha has paid to this courthouse to appeal to Judge Eli to grant her justice against her landlord, who is threatening to evict her and repossess her home. It is understood that Mrs. Tabitha has said to Judge Eli on a number of occasions, "My lord, grant me justice against my adversary," to which the judge is said to have replied, "I refuse to grant you justice." It is believed that Mrs. Tabitha has stood here day and night over the last 3 years, waiting for Judge Eli, and when he arrives in the morning, she follows him closely, quoting scripture in his ear, saying, "God says, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you." But so far, her knocks on the doors of this courthouse have amounted to nothing. The judge has refused to open the door to her and receive her plea. Yesterday, it is understood that Mrs. Tabitha stood by the exit of the courthouse waiting for Judge Eli. One eyewitness, the chief of catering, reports that as he appeared, she quoted the Just Judge Regulations Act to him, saying, "My lord, under the Just Judge Regulations Act, every judge should act fairly and care about the opinion of God and his people." To which the judge is said to have replied, "I do not fear God, nor do I care what people think." But this morning, things took a rather unusual turn. The judge arrived early in the morning and Mrs. Tabitha was here waiting in her usual position. As soon as she saw him, she followed him, tugging on his gown and repeating over and over again, "My lord, grant me justice against those who have been unfair to me." Finally, it is understood that the judge threw his hands into the air in exasperation and said, "Because this widow keeps pestering me, I will see that she gets justice, because I am sick and tired of her persistent begging." So today marks a great victory for Mrs. Tabitha Aaron, and I am standing here by the entrance of the courthouse to witness this historic moment. And here comes Judge Eli now. Judge Eli, may I have a word with you, please? Judge Eli, how do you feel about the decision that you have taken today?
No comment.
Judge Eli, would you say that Mrs. Tabitha's verdict will impact other people in her position?
No comment.
Judge Eli, would you call yourself a just judge?
No comment.
Well, thank you very much for all that enlightening information, Judge Eli. And here we have Mrs. Tabitha now come to speak to us. Mrs. Tabitha, have you anything to say to us? Congratulations.
Persistence always pays off.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tabitha. Well, it is clear from today's events that if persistence and determination have managed to persuade this unrighteous judge to grant justice to the widow Tabitha, then how much more will our persistence in faith and reliance on God, who is the righteous and compassionate judge, do for us? Let this be a lesson for us all, to pray always and never lose heart. Lucia Evangelia, from outside the courthouse, New Testament News.